Coach Patrick Sang, welcome to New York City.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for having me in the NN Running Team pop-up store here in New York City. Right behind us, there's this wall with so many accomplishments from over the years. When you look at this, what does it mean to you to be part of so much history with this team?
Sitting here and seeing all this takes me a long, beautiful memory lane.
Yeah.
It brings memories to mind that are fresh. When I look at them, it's like it had just happened.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. I mean, these are the moments that you want to remember all the time.
My favorite is the photo from 2018 of Eliud hugging you right after he crossed the finish line, and he ran 2:01:39, first time he broke the world record. What do you remember about that hug?
In Berlin, when you're a coach or somebody closer to an athlete that is leading, they bring you to a special place close to the finish line. And as the race comes to an end, they bring you closer so that, you have a moment to just to receive them and celebrate with that athlete. So for me, it was like any normal arrangements that I was used to. But, if you see that picture, there is something special about it. And what is special about it is that I was reflecting, just when Eliud was coming like this, I was reflecting to the time he came to me to ask for a training plan. And I was like, so many things were going like overdrive in my brain, and said, if I had made a mistake, I was asking myself, if I had made a mistake not to handle this guy in a proper way, would we be seeing what is happening now? So that was the question. So I was really crying, and I remember later on during the day, my son was writing to me, why were you crying? And so it's that moment. It was not about exactly that moment. I was now reflecting. When you don't know anybody, anything about somebody that approaches you, and then you walk together, and then down the road, you achieve what just happened. Then the brain plays a lot of tricks on you.
That relationship with Eliud now has been over 2 decades at this point. And you work with him as coach, but also as mentor, teacher, friend. How have you seen that relationship develop over 20 years? And like when you remember that first day, when he asked you for a training plan, how different of a person was he then to who he is now?
When you see, Eliud has been Eliud throughout, but like seasons, even the tree that you saw when it was spring, when you see it in October, then it changes some features, but not everything about it. I think what has really evolved is Eliud from being that talented young kid to Eliud, the one that has packaged our sport and presented it in a beautiful way. So this has been a transition, not necessarily in the integral part of the person, but then the outside part. And I think that's what the world of athletics in general, and now more the world of marathon running is embracing that transformation, that the talent has been packaged maybe much more better than what was happening before.
How has your coaching philosophy changed in that whole time?
The world is really dynamic in many ways, and so is the process of learning. The process of learning is a continuous process. If you speak to any teacher, they'll tell you that the acquisition of knowledge is a continuous process. For me, working with the likes of Eliud, Eliud in particular, it's been a transformational journey in itself. How you see the world, how I saw the world in the beginning when I first interacted with him, it really changed, and it changed the way I thought about things then and the way I think about things now. Eliud transformed my thinking in a way that it showed me it's possible at one point in your journey to be a student when yesterday you were a teacher. So there are so many things that we don't know about ourselves and we don't know about other people, but they unveil themselves in ways that can get you off guard. And one of the things that really changed and shifted my philosophy of coaching is that sometimes it's good to take a back seat and observe what is happening around you, and you can pick one or two things. So hence the message that learning is a continuous process, and it shapes your philosophy, it shapes your thinking. Before it was like I believed my philosophy on coaching is that it's based on trust, that the athlete gives you total trust, and you shape the journey in the running career. But it reached, in the case of Eliud, reached a point where I realized that I didn't know so much about the mental strength of an individual. Of course, it came through interacting with Eliud, but I think it applies across the board to people, that sometimes you see them, but you don't know until they're pushed or they show you their intentions that you are not expecting, that they're going for big things. Then you say, hey, whoa, where did this come from? And I think that has been a learning journey for me. It transformed trust to being a student teacher.
When you began coaching, I mean, you had a transition. You were a phenomenal athlete on the track. And then when you decided to get into coaching, on the technical side of coaching, there's the legendary books, the Lydiard, there's, everyone studies on anaerobic, aerobic, and, now there is the Norwegian method, everything. Where did you begin to form like the technical side of your coaching philosophy? And in the last 20 years, there's so much advances in science and technology, the shoes, everything has changed, that it also forces you to change things a little bit here and there.
My journey is probably, in the field of coaching, probably is different from maybe other people. I could say I went into running coaching business by default. Personally, when I ran in college, at least in college you have a coach. And then when you're out of college and you're interested in continuing with running, you are on your own, because otherwise if you're an elite athlete, you can engage a coach. So I found myself in this quagmire where you finished university and you want to continue running. And so I ended up being my coach. I started coaching myself. And I think if you want to see the defining moment in anything that becomes a successful journey down the road, it starts somewhere. And I think for me, it started then. And when it started, it created some kind of curiosity within me to look around and say, okay, if I want to continue running seriously, what do I do? So you start investing in knowledge, what is available, reading, magazines. There are so many magazines around that time. I mean, now we have internet. So you're just investing in and engaging, talking to people and experimenting. So the finish line where we are now, or where we've been over the years, that we are talking about the successful stories of the athletes that have come through my hands, it started then. So, and it became a journey where you're building one block after another, and it was getting better and better. Of course, in this same journey, I ended up being trained coach, going through the process of being trained, and that was around 2001, where I was picked to specialize, given an opportunity actually to specialize in coaching middle and long distance, which I took with both hands. And so it gave me another perspective, the perspective of really trying to see the bigger picture, that what it means to train an athlete who is running 800, 1500, 10,000, all the way to marathon. And it gave fresh life to my young coaching career. And over time, of course, you go to seminars, you go to meetings, you get to gain one, two. But the gaining is actually more of refining than adding new things. And even if you go to history, what we talk about the new Norwegian model is what was already experimented in many years back by people like Soterbeck and what have you. So there's nothing new. It's just refining to fit what you want to achieve at any given moment. And so over time, I don't think my philosophy of coaching changed, but the approach changed somehow because of the new breed of athletes you're dealing with. In the cases of people like Eliud, they gave me total trust, and which is good because it gives you total autonomy to give your best. When you have athletes that are 50-20, 80-20,
Yeah.
then you don't give your best as a coach. When you're given 100%, just like somebody giving you just a blank check, write any amount, it builds something different in you. It makes you become more responsible. You take risks where you are really sure of. We can talk about when Eliud started at one point to try to think about breaking two. When they interacted with Nike. So when I looked at him, I said, "Hey, you crazy?"
His PB was 203, right? Or 204, I think.
Yeah,
at that
something
point.
like that. So I said, where did this one come from? But just because he had given me total trust, I never thought about myself like, hey, this is impossible. No, I said, no, this guy has believed, and I have to go with him. I'll give my best as the coach. And when he landed in 2:00:26, that was amazing. So it gave me also a lot of confidence that, instead of copying what people do, you study the subject and give your best knowing the subject very well. The subject is the athlete that you're dealing with and applying the knowledge that you have acquired over time on this specific area of marathon training.
What do you remember when, for the first time with Breaking 2, like Nike presents their ideas, right? They show you the shoes, the prototypes and everything. They do the lab tests, a lot of science and a lot of technology. And then you, old school approach to coaching. And also with running, it's a simple sport, right? You run, you do the workouts, you do the long runs, you're gonna get better. And so when they present all these ideas to you, how much do you remember being like, okay, I have to be open to these new ideas? And what was that process like for you as a coach to let go a little bit control?
What I liked with the whole idea was that they didn't come and say, this is the way. They came and said, okay, we are there to help you, in this journey that Eliud and the two other athletes, the Ethiopian and the Eritrean, have decided to partner with Nike to try something new. So I think the win was for me when they said, we're here to help. I think if they had come and said, this is the way.
This is the workouts and everything, you said no.
Then I think the outcome would have been different in terms of how I would have internalized. So the fact that they say, hey, we're here. If you need us, we're there to support you. In a way, they never really interfered with the technical aspects of the training and the preparation. They came in support on all the auxiliary services that you would really need. You need good shoes, you need advice on nutrition, you need advice on all sorts of things that you don't have full control over as a coach. So I think to me it was more a complementary way of partnering other than saying, hey, we have this project, we're going to do the way we know. And I must thank them because of their approach. And the success, of course, was driven by the athletes themselves, because without the athlete also buying in to the whole process, then even if you are the best coach, then it amounts to nothing.
Breaking two was a big turning point because he comes very close, and then he gets better, and then the second time around he does it, and so that, you know, mission accomplished with the sub two. So then this time around with, you know, breaking four with Faith, was it another easy thing for you to process of like the similar process that we did with Eliud is now going to happen with Faith, or how was breaking four different?
Interestingly, the two athletes that we're talking about here, Faith and Eliud, they somehow reflect one another.
Yeah.
Especially in terms of how they see the sport, how they see themselves, and how they internalize the roles of the support systems. They are almost the same. So the project Breaking Four, to me, it went very well. Of course, we had a few challenges here and there that we could not have full control, but the journey was more or less the same. Looking back, you know, in Breaking Two, the initial and of course eventually, the process was more or less smooth. But in the case of Faith, it was it's a bit different. Of course, the person did not change. Circumstances were not as well worked out as the other one of Breaking Two. Given another opportunity, I think it's possible to make some amendments. Of course, the ultimate call is for the two cases is that they allowed people to think that our imaginations can be expanded, that the human mind and possibilities are elastic. With anything elastic, that means you can stretch it further than where it can reach. And in the two cases, Faith and Eliud showed us that the possibilities that we can still stretch some things. And the belief, of course, we saw a few days later in New York, not in Eugene, that Faith was able to run a world record, which means that what we did technically and all the support that went into the preparation for breaking four did not go in vain. It resulted in something else, which was a world record in 1500. So it's still possible. I'm sure psychologically I was a bit worried for Faith in Paris, because I think I've not talked to her about the whole episode, but you could see facially, body language, that it could have been better. What could have been better? Is it a time? Is it a preparation? Or is it the whole setup? I don't know, but maybe people like you can probe that question.
Yeah, to Faith.
Because maybe if I do it, she'll probably give me one-line statement. But when you engage, maybe one time you meet her, it would be good to know. But you could see from the facial that something could have been done better. So, but I believe technically we did everything right, because of course what we saw in Eugene proved that. What I was worried between Eugene and Paris is the mental state of Faith, whether she was going to internalize it negatively or positively. But I think the outcome in Eugene changed everything, put everything in the equilibrium, that all was well. And I think that's why she was able to have the next part of the season going well for her.
With Faith, how do you continue to challenge her in training and in the races? Because she's been able to do it all. Like I feel like at a world championship, it's almost like you can put any plan in front of her and she will execute it perfectly. The World Championship final, the way she ran that race, to me, I believe that was the that was the best executed run for gold at the whole entire World Championship. She squeezed the pace out of every one of her competitors. So how do you do that? How did you come up with that plan? And then how do you challenge Faith every day in practice to be able to show up and do that when it matters?
Technically, I don't speak so much to my athletes.
Yeah.
I don't discuss what I plan for them, but I drive. I get what they want from them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can see by interacting with somebody, this is where their minds, their bodies are willing to go to. And then you craft the training plan to take them there. Because I have a belief, I mean, maybe this is a problem and maybe a shortfall on my part, that having been an athlete before, I never wanted to discuss, anybody to discuss with me a race plan, because I would get so anxious and, end up wasting a lot of energy thinking about the race that had not happened. So I've borrowed this way of looking at things and transported it to how I conduct my technical training. So what I normally do is I study the person without asking them, and then craft the training plan to take them where they should go or they want to go without discussing. Because even when I transitioned Faith from 1,500 to 5,000, we never sat down and discussed, now we are going to go to 5,000. I only changed the training plan to go from 1,500 to accommodate both events, actually, 1,500 and 5,000. And then in the process, she runs the first 1,500, and it was a world record in Florence. And she was like, I'm not tired. I mean, but the work had already been put in place from the beginning of the season. When you start planning, okay, we do plans for the season at the end of the season, the next season. And that's when we had planned to see a possibility of trying the longer distance. So, I mean, that is left now to me to plan. So if you engage the athlete and then you start talking about the training that will entail, then psychologically they can be somehow disturbed.
Yeah. So with someone like Faith and creating that profile that you assess for the training, she's going to continue to have amazing success in the 1,500. She's doing really well in the 5K, but she's also openly saying that she's thinking about the longer distances. So where do you begin as a coach? Like, what are the boxes you look at for, like, if Faith wants to jump up and into a little bit longer distance? It could be 10K, it could be on the roads, whatever. Where do you look at, okay, this is what we need to do? What are the boxes that she needs for a successful transition?
The way I look at the transition for any athlete, even for Eliud, when he transitioned from track to road running and marathon eventually, is how their mindset is. It's not what I want for them. It's the mindset. And that mindset gives you room to experiment. And when the mindset is flexible towards a certain direction, so I started experimenting at the beginning of the season to see what are the parameters telling me. Are they likely to go that direction? Like in the case of Eliud, we didn't know anything. So we like, the guy could not make the London World Championship, Olympic Games team, just because of an hamstring. And then we said, what is there? You've achieved everything. So why don't we try? So it was more like trying. In the case of Faith, she's already shown the indication that I want to go there. So now the case of Faith is totally different, because Faith is known for 1,500.
Yeah.
And, all things around her is based on her performance in 1,500 and now 5,000. The consultation would be even broader than when it was the case of Eliud, because now you have to look at who is behind Faith.
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of the partnership. What are they also thinking? Without asking the athlete, you just feel. You just interact with the marketing team, with the sponsors, with all these management teams that are around. What is their thinking? What is Faith thinking? Then now, as a coach, you now find your way of marrying all these things and going the journey.
Yeah.
When it will be is probably something that we can see in the course of next season, because now she has just finished the season. Whatever review that we are going to have will give us a picture of where the mind is indicating that she would like to go, whether it's going to be a slow process or just jumping into the new environment as far as running is concerned.
Does it give you like the data of the people who were finishing behind Faith, Sifan, Helen Obiri, they've made such a great transition to an event like the marathon, and like they're running some of the best times in history. It's not as easy to just think Faith is going to be immediately world class at the marathon. It could, like Eliud, it took a while to get to that moment.
Yeah. You need to. Okay, the people who have gone ahead of her, especially the female runners. You've mentioned the names, Obiri, Sifan. It's a clear indicator that there's room there.
Yeah.
There's a place for Faith there, and we would want to see also what she can do in that territory. When I look at Faith, and I look at what we've been doing since 2019, as far as the preparation stage of the season is concerned, the kind of training that we've done, of course, it was basically to mitigate other things. I don't want to say this what it is. Faith came to my training plan when she was already an established athlete.
Yes.
And what is strange with me is that I don't ask what you have been doing. Mm-hmm. I start afresh, like, it's a new athlete.
I remember you told me this in Kenya, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I do with all the athletes that come to crossover, because I don't want to prejudice my mind. So what I realized was that there was some cups that needed to be improved. And that's what I improved, and it gave us two possibilities: the possibility to move to the longer distance and to mitigate what we were looking at, prevention of injuries, by setting a very strong base. So that base, like I said earlier, the winning is not at the finish line. Mm-hmm. The winning is at the start of the whole journey. So where we started with Faith, we have started building a broad base towards a running approach towards the season. We are getting better. Even the volume of the distance that we're doing now is giving us a good indicator that she is capable of doing what the athletes that used to do 1,500 like herself are doing now.
With the case of, if we go back to talking about Eliud for a bit, as he became so dominant in the marathon, he became the world record holder, double Olympic champion. For you, I guess, what was the training the whole entire time? If we looked at the training plan for 2018 Berlin and then the 2019 Berlin Marathon, like, was the training similar all throughout this whole entire time? Yeah. What changed? Was there more mileage, more speed work that he was doing, more track work, like in all these different moments? How does that compare to now?
What changed? Nothing really changed.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Similar.
Yeah, it's probably similar, but if you look at preparation towards the two areas that you've mentioned, where he was really doing very well, running very fast, there was a longer preparation period.
Yeah.
They say practice makes perfect. And I guess, in a way, we have some lessons that if you prepare longer, it's just like roasting a beef, in a very nice fire, but you move the beef slightly further from the fire, that beef will cook better.
Yeah.
So those are learning lessons that are also that if you want to prepare for serious marathon, a bigger, achievement in marathon, you need more time than the traditional 4 months. If you look at breaking two, I think we were talking about close to 7 months or something like that. And the other one, 159 challenge, was closer to that as well. So one key thing that needs to be factored in any training, regardless of what distance you're training, is what is coming out of the new approaches to distance running. And that is one of the key things that we've always compromised in running is the rest and recovery. Those two things, when factored very well, athletes can achieve more. And I think in the preparation, we factored in those two aspects.
Yeah.
The aspect of good rest and adequate recovery, so that in training we have what is called a super compensation. When you train and then you recover and then you push again, there is an aspect of having better returns in terms of what you put in when it comes to the output.
In your analogy of, roasting the beef, 7 months in the lead up to, breaking two, and now we got 63 days between Sydney and New York. That beef is right on top of the fire at that point. So how for Eliud, this is new, 3 marathons in 1 year. He's never done this before. Like, how has this been also just sort of as Eliud has gotten older now in these last 2 years, and he's not as dominant as he once was. Like, this is also an exploration in sort of what he can still do.
If you picked up from what I said last about what were the lessons learned in preparing for breaking two and 159 challenge, I mentioned 2 items: recovery and rest.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 things that coaches can play with. If an athlete has been preparing so well, whatever you have done is not lost. The challenge is, how do you maintain what you've done such that it's not going to waste? So it's more preservation. So it's like we've moved the beef slightly away from the fire, but still within the fire zone. Yeah. So it continued cooking from Sydney all the way here.
And now he's here, ready for New York. With I guess, like, with Boston, the challenge was the course for him, like, and how it wasn't a great day, and that was rare. New York's also a very challenging course with the bridges. Was there any adjustments made to the training for this one that you learned from Boston 2023?
Yeah, we in the early stages of the training, we made some changes to benefit. Is also like you try things, and the people who trained with him and went to challenging courses, they did very well. So, which means that the intervention that we did going forward is going to help to address the shortfalls that were experienced in Boston. It's not only him, it's basically most of the athletes that I've trained. Because when you're training an athlete and you have never been to the venue or the course, you don't really get to internalize the challenge, especially like in the case of Boston, going downhill from the start.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in training, you start differently. So it requires some serious intervention. It's like even going to humid, hot conditions. If you don't think about it before you go, some months, even years before, then you cannot really plan the right mitigation measures. Now we have even re-engineered our courses, the way we train the terrain. And now we have a formula and a strategy to tackle courses like Boston and New York and any other.
You have the Boston long run course. I remember that.
We've gotten a worse one now.
Yeah.
Worse than Boston. But it's also a challenge because you need to have the athlete have the mindset, because it's taxing for the muscles. When you run downhill, you have a different experience, and the muscles. The first day we did, and I asked my medical team to give me a report the next day in the morning, and everybody was reporting, some abnormalities as far as the response of the muscles were concerned. So it's a challenge, and it's something that you need to prepare. We've prepared, and of course, in the case of Eliud, I mean, we're looking at somebody else.
Yeah.
We're looking at somebody else who has seen it all, experienced it. I mean, it's not like you have to tell him New York is like this. He's read about New York. He knows what New York is all about. The turns and the downhill and the no pacing.
Yeah.
All those things come together, and I think any serious athlete will interact with those things as the race develops.
The New Yorkers, the fans here, have been waiting for this moment for Eliud to finally race New York. And in the past, when you win Berlin, you want to go back. You want to seek those fast opportunities. And so, for you to wait this long to finally get this test, is it exciting, to see what could happen on Sunday?
I see it in multiple perspectives. I see Eliud as a person who has had a lot of following in this part of the world. And I see Eliud coming to say hello, I'm here. I finally come to interact with you. I see Eliud that is coming to speak in a different language to the people who have supported him in terms of sponsorship and things like this, that are domiciled in this region of the world. I see Eliud who is going to speak to people who are of certain age categories that I'm here to tell you this is possible, that elite sports can be stretched for these many years. So I see many communication channels coming to different people. You could be also talking to people like you, journalists, that, hey, there is an evolving generation that is saying, hey, don't push us very fast out of the running lane. So I see, in my small way of seeing things, that its mission here is, first of all, to say, okay, the running world of marathons as a system that talked about 6, now they have gone to 7, and they're looking at going even further than 7 all over the world. That when we are doing this, there are people who are keenly following, and they're enthusiastic in seeing that they try to run even half of it, and that the fact that he's doing the last one is also communicating something. So I see it from those angles. The outcome will be the outcome, but the message will have been communicated to different people.
With the outcome, a victory would be amazing, right? Everyone dreams of that. He's not an athlete who doesn't line up and show up if he doesn't think he's going to win. But in general, has your definition of success changed with Eliud in the last couple of years, or how has that changed over time?
I think when I was a kid, when you go to school, everybody expects you to be number one. Then maybe you get there, and then you grow. Then people see you in a different way. What does number one mean? What does being there mean? What does showing up mean? So I think I want to see Eliud coming to New York, or even his participation at the level of elite sports. I want to see with different lenses, if I may use the word, that he's coming to New York with a different message. And like when he started, we want you to be the number one, But now we are more like looking at what message are we getting from this guy. So other than one shoe fits all, we're saying, hey, the shoe can be used at different seasons.
So with all of these moments that are on these walls, right? Like those are the good days, right? Like the amazing days that you'll remember forever. Do you have an appreciation now, just sort of now when you see them like plastered on photos and everything, that it's like you never know when the next time is going to happen. Like this one right here, this is 2:01:09. That's the fastest that he's gone so far. That day, maybe you're thinking next year we can go faster, but it hasn't happened yet. So do you have an appreciation on those days of like this is the good old days?
Oh, I have appreciation of the entire spectrum from when it started to now.
Yeah.
Because each phase has its own message. There's a phase of development, there's a phase of excellence, and then there's a phase of transition. So, and each phase cannot be compared to the other phase because it's a continuum. Mm-hmm. That's the way I would want to see.
With Eliud, he's not finished anytime soon. When they add 8, when they add 9 for the majors, he's going to do them. And for you, I guess, like coaching, like do you feel like, I mean, you're going to have to see Faith into her transition all the way to the marathon someday potentially. Like, is that exciting for you that it's like, hey, as they continue to go, you continue to go, and at the same time, the sport, there's no better time than now when everybody's getting into running.
Yeah.
You're like it's already been 2 decades.
No, I think the journey has been long.
Yeah.
For me personally, it's been long. But what inspires me to continue, being part and parcel of the journeys of many different athletes, is the way they value my services. Mm-hmm. Any service is as good as when it's valued. When the value goes away, then it comes to an end. Yeah. I remember when I first came here in New York in 1984, my interest was to go up the World Trade Center because it was an iconic thing. So being an idealistic young man in my 20s, it's like, this is it. I need to go to the World Trade Center. And I did. I wanted to go to the North Pole, to be as close as possible in those years of 80, 84, 85, and I did. So if I look at New York now, and then I see Burj Khalifa, compared to World Trade Center, they're worlds apart. Mm-hmm. So things evolve. People go trip to the way I would come here in the 80s. They're now going to the United Arab Emirates to go up those tall buildings. I've been one of them that
you like tall buildings.
booked to go up there. So I stayed for 2 days waiting for my chance to go there because there's a big number of people going up. Anyway, what I'm saying is that every season has a way of being valued. Mm-hmm. And it reaches a time when that time moves from the way it moved from World Trade Center being attention of the tall buildings to now the other places. So I think maybe in a few years my time will come. I'm looking at possibly around 2028, Los Angeles as probably the defining moment when I would say, hey, is it time to call it a day or to continue with maybe 1 or 2 projects as I closed to my 70th year.
Wow. All right, so I want to close this out with a fun experiment. All right, so you told me how you love coaching now, and from 800 all the way to the marathon. So I want you to give me 3 workouts to do, because I can do the easy runs, I can do the long runs, but 3 workouts for 3 events. We'll start with the mile. If I do these 3 workouts, I'll see improvement. What are the 3 workouts for mile improvement that you would recommend?
3.
3 workouts.
One very good endurance run once in 1 week or 10 days.
What does that look like? How many kilometers and pace?
I would say if you go by time,
Okay.
you're looking at maybe 1 hour and a half. And if you go by distance, a minimum of 25 to 30K.
Mm-hmm.
Once in that period, 10 days and 1 week, that period, at least once.
So that's workout number 1. Okay.
Workout number 1. Number 2, do good quality within that 1 week, 10 days of some repeats of that gives you a good endurance speed of anything between 1,000 meters to 1 mile. The volume would be something close to 6,000 meters to 10,000 meters.
Mm-hmm.
And then one session of a good speed session, which is in volume totaling between 3,000 and 5,000 meters. But that is, the speed average is, if you total it, it's faster than the target the speed for the distance you want to achieve.
So the last one would be like 400-meter repeats.
Yes.
How much rest?
2 minutes.
2 minutes rest.
Yeah, you need 2 minutes because otherwise you will not achieve the target. 2 minutes, and if your PP in 1 mile is
Mine is 457.
457.
Yeah.
Then you would need to do them around 64, 65. Yes.
That sounds really hard.
Yeah, 6 of them or even up to 62.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you can make it because if you do the first one, well, you do the second one, and then the third one will be easy.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so that's the mile. 3
Yes.
workouts for the mile. 3 workouts for the 5K.
The mile and the 5K is
Similar. Okay.
almost similar.
Okay, so let's do 10K.
You need the 10K and up to the marathon would be another category.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so let's do marathon. Three workouts for a marathoner.
Definitely, one of the sessions you have to do closer to the distance within a period of 2 weeks, maybe 40 kilometers. Of course, all these workouts I'm mentioning, you need to have a certain fitness level.
Yes, yeah.
Yes. So you're not going to, I would call it as a coach, pre-competition phase.
Mm-hmm.
When you're almost ready, maybe a few weeks, 6 weeks, or 4 weeks to competition.
Mm-hmm.
Minimum for endurance, 40 kilometers once in 2 weeks. And then for the endurance speed, you need to do either, it depends, tempo runs, or you can do workouts on the track, 3,000, 5,000 on the track, something closer to the marathon pace.
Mm-hmm.
And then once in a month, you do something faster, like a half marathon pace or even 10K pace.
So what is the last workout?
The last workout would be like even thousands.
Thousands.
Thousands is good because
at faster than half marathon pace.
Faster than a half marathon pace. Then you have a good combination. So the marathon endurance run that you do once in 2 weeks, the long intervals that you do, either in form of fartlek or whatever, that is equivalent to the running of half marathon, and then the one running faster, equivalent to your BB in 10K.
Okay.
All that wrapped together gives you a good performance in the mile, good performance in the 5K, and then the marathon and half marathon.
There we go. That's all I need to know, and then I'm all set. Patrick, thank you so much for doing this. Enjoy your time in New York City, and congratulations on just the general excellence that you've brought to so many of these athletes and so many of these great moments, with the NN running team.
Thank you very much. And I hope whoever is going to listen will learn something and will continue sharing this business of a beautiful sport.